Hey, this is John from Gadeon Corp. Today I'm going to be discussing the potential for the snap election in Ontario. So I was asked to cover the topic. So we're going to go over that. Okay, cool. Let's just get into it. First things first, it's worth understanding the difference between signal and noise. Now, when I say that, I think the vast majority of people understand what I mean, but do not apply it in practice, apparently, to the political sphere. The fact is that there are daily occurrences in politics that would be extremely distracting to keep up to date on, and really it doesn't change the principles of economics or political ethics. So that's all noise. I tend to stay away from that, and it's also important to think about that because when you are analyzing information in especially a sphere like this, I mean, there's so much crap out there. You just want to focus on the most important things. So to give you an example of that, one thing that comes up sometimes in financial analysis, and this is something that we saw about maybe 10 months ago now, or 11 months ago, something like that, with some of the larger banks. I believe their analysts had made poor predictions because they were likely trying to look at, I think, just too much stuff. But there's just so much irrelevant information in the economy that's not really going to give you high predictive power. So we just want to look at the most important things to come up with predictions. Okay, so anyways, now let's discuss the snap election that could occur. Sorry, not in Ontario, in Canada. Basically, the premise is that if the Liberals propose a budget that the Conservatives disagree with, then there will likely be a snap election because they will not be able to pass the budget, and a non-confidence motion will be issued. Now, it's still possible that all of the minority parties will not vote against the bill, even if the Conservatives do. So it's not necessarily going to be the case that if the Conservatives vote against it, that there will be a snap election, but good chance. Now, in summary, what I think of it is it would be pointless and disruptive. So we're going to go through some information for that and why I think that. It's disruptive because it's expensive and basically just halts ongoing operations at the moment, which right now are somewhat important given that the government, I believe, should be on the ball with dealing with the economic situation at the moment. There are many ongoing negotiations that change very quickly all the time. So I don't think that a snap election would be very productive in that manner. Okay, now, why do I think it's pointless? I think it's basically pointless because first, we had an election not very long ago already. This is, I think, just way too soon. And then the other point is that the parties, if you are not aware, have very similar policies. So, how do I know that? Well, if we go to their website and we look at their policies, then we will see a lot of similarities. So, for example, because surprisingly, a lot of people don't know this. And by the way, so if you go to the Conservative Party, you go to the, I believe, the policy declaration, but here's the document. Yes, you can find all this information. Now, I suppose we'll start off with the Liberals, just because I think the Conservatives are more likely to stand out if I start talking smack about their favorite party. But the housing policies for the Liberals leading into 2025 was very much like, look, we're going to increase our budget for housing, focus on public housing opportunities and building those. We're going to remove some federal land and make way for that. And you can see some of the other things that they're planning on doing, right? Such as again providing incentives to municipalities and speeding up approvals. So that's a big thing that everyone's been talking about, is reducing regulatory burdens. Now, in case you're wondering, the difference really now, and by the way, this document, I'll be honest with you, is somewhat concerning, and I'll go through it. And the sections where I think it is concerning. But if we go down to the let's just find that quickly. If we go to economic development, okay, not there. Social policy, and we have housing and homeless. Okay, 28. Okay, yeah. So basically, the main premise of the Conservatives' motion is almost the same thing. So they are going to speed up approvals. They are going to focus on public housing, or at least that's what they say. So both these parties say they're going to do effectively the same thing. Arguably, the Conservatives are in a worse spot. A bit of give and take, I guess I should say, because leading into the election, the thing that the Conservatives had proposed was that they would shift away from cities that are not building homes, for example, to cities that were, which is a great idea. But the problem is that they did not specify how they are going to get that money to get the cities that are not performing to perform in the first place. And I think that the idea of, we're just going to, move it around and get that money through, tax breaks, which literally makes no sense. Word. It's childish. It wouldn't work. So that's pretty much a summary, though. But other than that, like aside from the budget issue, they're almost the exact same thing, to be honest. So that's just one policy. Obviously, nobody has time to go through all of these things for you. And really, if you're interested, you should be doing your homework on these issues. But this is how you can do it. So hopefully that helps many people understand the differences in the policies. Now, if we go down, because I just did want to show, actually, now that I'm here, something that I do find somewhat concerning about the document. And by the way, I just want to be clear too, because you'll notice that if we scroll up to the top, it says 2023, that this was the last amendment date. This is the most up-to-date document. So it's just an old, most recent document, I guess. Very weird. Now, I wanted to go to the healthcare section, because one of the things that I wanted to comment on here is that what we will see if we look at the documents is basically okay, must be in a different section. There's a section on basically privatizing healthcare and what they had planned to do with that. Basically, the plan is nobody knows, apparently, which I find disturbing, but we're just going to take some time, because I do think that this is important to just showcase this now that we are here. Let's see. It is in this document. So where? let's just start scrolling through for a minute. Maybe I missed it in the healthcare section. No, yeah, I'll just do a control F. Okay. Yeah, also, I guess a big thing too, very much, I don't know, there's a lot of words like private here. No offense, but private implementations are pretty much always more expensive, unless this is right here, than public interventions. Okay, well, let me just double check. I think this is all it says about the privatization. Yeah, so basically what they just say is, oh, we're planning on introducing private healthcare, and as you can see, that's it. That's all they say. They don't say to what extent, or are there going to be checks and balances? How much money is going to that? Yeah, no idea, or when they're planning on doing it. So disturbing. Now, it's also worth noting as well that I do have a note here saying, well, you can read that. One of my criticisms is for example, the statement that was made by him, I guess that's his name. He had mentioned that, for example, there was a case where the central bank had been cutting rates and inflation was going up, which suggested to me, first, that wasn't what was going on. Inflation was going down at the time. And also, it's worth understanding that given inflation is the single most important, and there's a combination between, inflation and unemployment that occurs, as well as, things like currency valuations. But I think the central bank understands that they can't control that as well as the other two. Inflation is the otherwise number one thing that the central bank is going to look at to determine their interest rates, and monetary policy, or the cutting of interest rates / setting of interest rates, is countercyclical to inflation. So first, it's not happening, and second, it doesn't make theoretical sense. And if that were a complicated topic, I could overlook that, but that's very fundamental. Maybe, I don't know how long you have to study economics to learn something like that, but not very long. So, if we're at a graduate topic, sure, I get it, but it's not. It's certainly in first year, so I believe. So, yeah. Okay, so what's going to happen with that? By the way, my point with the economic statement is to say that even if they did get in, not going to resolve the housing crisis with that kind of understanding. So, yeah. Now, what's going to happen? So, I don't think that the snap election is going to occur, and it's pretty straightforward why. Basically, they do want to do it. Don't get me wrong. And I think the most important suggestion for that is they had been motioning non-confidence every 2 weeks for at least the last year, and 2 weeks is the minimum waiting period before they can motion another one, which I was paying attention to because I thought it was extremely annoying and disruptive to our government. But leading into election, I suppose that if you're trying to win, one way to do that is to disrupt the ability for your opposition to function well by calling a non-confidence motion every 2 weeks. Very annoying stuff. But even if they want to do that, they still want to retain any advantages they might have, or do so when it is to their advantage. It's just not. So Mark Carney's approval rating has gone up, and he recently got a relatively large win on the tariff negotiations. So, yeah, rationally, I don't think they would disagree with the budget because they may be dealing with a majority government after the fact. Yeah, so that's pretty straightforward. Um, Nothing else to say there. Okay, cool. So, if you liked it, you can like it and you can subscribe and share it with your friends and family. You can also ask me if you would like me to cover a topic, I suppose. Just don't blow up my inbox all at once. Okay, bye.